2 weeks into the college baseball season and 2 weeks into year one of FloBaseball. And you know, in both weeks we've done an interview with a guy calling it a quick pitch. For now, that name is going to stick. For now. In week number 1, it was Alec Jacob from Gonzaga. In week number 2, we caught up with Evan Russell from Tennessee just a few days before Tennessee went 3-0 at the Round Rock Classic and promptly jumped into anyone with a brains top 25. But you know, I got to thinking, if one of those a week is good, 2 a week is probably better. So in week number 3, with the Frisco Classic on deck, I have doubled it. We have 2 of them now. Talked to Garrett Mitchell from UCLA yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, highly recommend. Had a great conversation with him, really special dude. And then this morning, I had the great pleasure of catching up with Max Hewitt from Oklahoma State. Now, Max is a super utility guy, and what I mean by that is he's played pretty much every position on the infield. This year he's catching for Oklahoma State. He's from Midhurst, Ontario, Canada, population 3,000. From there, he made his way to Connors State College, which is in Warner, Oklahoma, which your boy knows about because he started his career at the Tahlequah Daily Press out of college. Shout out to Tahlequah. He went from 3,000 people to 1,500 people, and he balled in front of those 1,500 people. And then he got to Oklahoma State, where he is now, paid some dues over the first couple of years there, and everything is really clicking for Max now in year 3 in Stillwater. He's going to enter the second game of a midweek against Little Rock today, hitting .538, and he's a guy that is definitely emerged as a key cog in that Oklahoma State batting order if the Pokes are going to have success. So I was really happy to have the opportunity to catch up with Max, and without further ado, I'll stop talking about it and we'll just show it to you. They're not building a statue of you yet because they're mad because you're not still playing hockey. I need you to explain yourself real quick though, man, because Midhurst is 90 minutes north of Toronto, right? Okay. But it says in your bio that you grew up a Derek Jeter fan. I mean, I feel like maybe some Blue Jays fans don't like Derek Jeter, but you'd have to tell me. Yeah, there's no arguing that, man. I was giving you a hard time. Derek Jeter is I was a Ken Griffey Jr. guy growing up, but number 2 for me was always number 2, Derek Jeter. I thought he was he just something about him, man. He just had this it factor. So all good, all good. I'm a Ranger fan, so you being a Blue Jays fan, I wonder how you feel about Rougned Odor. Yeah, that was a screensaver on my computer for about a year. Oh, wow. All right, that stung a little bit, but that's okay. You know what? Hey, I'm gonna return fire. How frustrating was it to watch the Maple Leafs lose by 3 goals to an emergency backup goalie the other night? I'm sure they will. Hey, I read a story about you the other day. I think it might have even been in like the Oklahoma State news, like the OSU school newspaper. In it, there's a quote from you where you're talking about kind of embracing the job of being a role model to young fans, young Oklahoma State fans. There were two things that kind of stood out to me that I want you to elaborate on, and it's like within the same quote. And the quote was, "I just want to be a good influence for them. My story is pretty crazy how I got here." So first of all, let's start with the story. Like in your own words, how did you get here? I mean, obviously we've established, you come from Ontario to Oklahoma, Connor State College, Oklahoma State, but elaborate a little bit more on your journey and what was so crazy about it.
Yeah, well, I was pretty small in high school and didn't have like a whole lot of tools or anything like that. I just love to play and work at the game and learn. But I got to the end of high school and like I didn't have any offers, not for JUCO, not for D2, not for anything like that. But I was actually able to stay back and play for that same travel team for another year, and I worked a couple jobs and here and there, and it's funny. We went on that bus trip to that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Played all these different JUCOs, and I knew they played Connors every year on that trip. And we went out there and we played Connors, and I think we won one game by one, and then they waxed us by 30 the next. And we got on that bus after a long day, and our bus driver who had done the trip many times before said, "You're a Connors guy, man. Like you're meant for JUCO." And I'm like, "No way, man. Like I'm never coming to this town again." And soon, sure enough, like a year goes by, and it was like I got the call from Coach Foreman there, and he's like, "So, do you want to come to Connors?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." Like, I couldn't. I was so elated to just be able to keep playing baseball, and yeah, honestly, after that, things just kind of took off. That year happened. Perry Keith is probably one of the best coaches in junior college, if not college baseball altogether. He runs the program at Connors State. He's been there for 30 years, um, and he's just got a formula for developing players and getting guys to reach their maximum ability, be able to go out and compete every day. And I was just lucky enough to be there and learn from him and have a bunch of great teammates. And we worked hard, man, that year and got a lot better. And it created opportunities for me to ultimately reach my goal of, playing Division I college baseball. And here we are.
Here we are. The second thing I wanted to ask you about within that quote is, you want to take on that role of role model with the young fans. It talks about you signing autographs, being the last guy in the field, signing balls. Uh, why is that so important to you? Why do you embrace that role the way that you do? Yeah, I just thought that was cool. I mean, I think all of us as young kids can remember, a guy that we looked up to. Like for me, I'll date myself. Like I grew up in Northwest Arkansas, and I remember going to Arkansas games, back in the early 2000s, and a guy like Eric Hinsky or Josh Jackson who was playing for Arkansas at the time. For me as a young kid, I mean, they were it. They were the guy. So, I know there are kids in Stillwater today that 10, 15 years from now will have the same memory with you, and I think that's cool that you're helping them create that. Yeah, yeah, always, because I mean that's who you're gonna be around more. That's who you watch more. So, anyway, very cool that you take that position on it. I think that's admirable. Uh, you've caught or DH'd in every game this year, but correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously I called you a super utility guy. Is there a position on the infield that you can't play? Because I'll be honest with you, coming into the year, I had no idea you could catch. So I crunched the numbers for you guys. Big analytics guy here, awesome at math. You are hitting 538 overall, 14 out of 26 at the plate. But when you start at catcher, you're hitting 667. You're 10 out of 15. When you catch, that would be a record. So you understand that the record is 551. So you would have the new record if you just caught every game to start. You hit 363 when you started DH, which also very good. But Max, that's not a record. So what I need us to work something out with Brock and Coach Holliday, so that even on days when he's going to be behind the dish, you can just take the first inning. Because apparently, if we can work it out that way, then you'll hit about 700 for the year, and then we can get a new guy atop the college baseball record books. Well, don't let me make you worry about it. You're killing it, and I dug in, and it turns out you're killing it even more when you're wearing catcher's gear every 15, 20 minutes. So I don't know why, but that's what's going on with you right now. So yeah, if you could, 363, man, I need you to step it up when you're DHing. Hey, no, awesome start to the year for you, man, which is really why I wanted to talk to you to begin with. Of all the players across college baseball, there aren't many that are off to a better start than you. But I want to go back to the coaching staff a little bit. I joked about Coach Holliday, but can you dig into that a little bit for me? Because when obviously coming into the year, everybody was talking about the additions that were made to your staff. And Josh Holliday's resume speaks for itself. It's NCAA tournament every year. It's 3 supers, a College World Series, like 50 guys drafted, 3 Big 12 titles. He is who he is. Rob Walton is a guy who's done it at from a managerial level at a program like ORU at a high level. Comes back to Oklahoma State where he was an alum, and all he's done since he got there is produce 23 all Big 12 arms, 3 All-Americans. And then you add to that a guy, like Robin Ventura, who hit over 400 in his career at Oklahoma State, a legend obviously with the Chicago White Sox, 5 years managing with the Chicago White Sox. And his title is hilarious because he's actually a student assistant, I think, on your staff. And then you've got some guy named Matt, brother of Josh, who Cardinal or Rocky fans may remember because he hit about 1,200, he batted about 1,200 runs in at the major league level. Between Matt and Robin Ventura, you guys added like 600 and some odd major league home runs to your coaching staff in the offseason. So I said all that, but what does that mean to you guys? What is it like to play for this staff, both for Josh and Matt, Robin Ventura, Coach Walton, guys I didn't even mention? It's pretty nationally renowned as one of the better coaching staffs in the country. Yeah, it's cool to see. It's also, a program like Oklahoma State with the tradition that it has to have guys come back. A guy like Robin Ventura, who, again, the face of Oklahoma State baseball for a long period of time, to come back from the major league level and coach with you guys is pretty neat. You guys opened the year with, I think, in my opinion, kind of a sneaky tough series at Grand Canyon. You split the first couple of days. They end up taking the series on day 3. Then you bounce back and get a huge win at Arizona State, a team a lot of people think can make a run to Omaha. And now you're rolling, 5 straight wins. You've got one more, I think, this afternoon against Little Rock. And then it's time for Frisco, where you've got 3 good teams, arguably 2 great teams in Texas A&M and UCLA waiting for you there. What does playing in an event like that, the Frisco Classic, do for you guys in terms of, getting ready for the Big 12 schedule, and also, getting ready for kind of that NCAA tournament, College World Series type of setting? Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, I would expect you to be the type of guy who's one day at a time, one pitch at a time. I think that that systematic approach, that respect for the process, is what allows you to be great. So the Arkansas or the Little Rock response, I would expect. But I'm looking forward to your next game being UCLA, your next game being Texas A&M, because I think you're going to shine in that spotlight. It's going to be cool to watch. Big 12 title being a goal. Omaha being the goal, I understand all that. I'm not going to sit here and ask you about goals because I think it's pretty self-explanatory. But what do you want to be able to say about this team when you wake up on Monday morning? Little Rock behind you, A&M behind you, UCLA, Illinois behind you, kind of going into the rest of now the non-conference and into Big 12 play on March, whatever that is, March 1, March 2. When you wake up on Monday, what do you want to be able to say? Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. I mean, even again, Big 12 being as competitive as it is, I think that's a league where playing a strong non-conference schedule can only help you. Obviously, you guys you're doing that, opening at Grand Canyon, NCAA tournament caliber team, Arizona State, Frisco, etc. So I think you're pushing all the right buttons. I think you're doing all the right things. Max and the Cowboys again will join UCLA, Texas A&M, Illinois at the 2020 Frisco Classic. This weekend, Frisco, Texas. All of it is going to be live on FloBaseball, the Flo Sports app. Max Hewitt, my man, thank you very much for your time this morning. I appreciate you bearing with me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Frisco and watching you the rest of the way.